In this video right here, I talked about my Amazon ads, and in today's video, I'll talk about the final step in my Amazon ads funnel, which is the hero campaign. If you're new here, my name is Andreas. I've done over $1 million in revenue in less than 3 years as an Etsy print-on-demand seller from Sweden. In that same time frame, I've also managed to make about $240,000 in revenue on Amazon Merch on Demand, and this is as a side gig apart from Etsy, which was my main hustle. Okay, so what even is a hero campaign? Well, what I mean by the hero campaign basically is the final step in my Amazon ads funnel here. So the whole thinking behind the funnel is to take, if you just imagine a big funnel here, and it's just to take all the designs that hasn't even sold once, put them into a lottery campaign. So this is the first step. And then we try to narrow down. If something starts to sell at least once in the lottery campaign, we narrow it down further by having it in the warm-ups campaign. And then when it sells even better than that, we narrow it down even further with our hot campaign. If you just imagine a funnel like this, at the last step here, where we go super narrow, this is our super hot or hero campaign. So the thinking is to just focus on like the specific products that has sold well within designs. And we do this through having our funnel here. And that's how we managed everything. But basically we focus on the single products that sells super well for our store, basically our hero products. So how do we set this up? Well, first off, if we start to see that's like listing, like some products are selling like above 25 or more, that's when we graduate them to the final step, which is the hero campaign. The easiest way to do that is to use the producer plugin. It's a free plugin that you can get on the Google Chrome store, I think. But with that, you have this little number here where you can see like how much it has all time sold. And when this basically says like 25 or more, like this one, for this one almost, like this one for instance, that's the exact product that we'll use for one ad group for our hero campaign basically. So a good note on that too is to just, when we see that one type of design sells, it's good to just search if there's any different products as well within the same design that has sold well too. So if we can just search for the specific title of the design and just see if there's any more products that has hit the bracket of 25 sales or more. But that's the threshold that we gotta keep this at. Now we know like which exact product we'll use for the hero campaign. And the second step is to just start creating the campaign. So we go to our Amazon ads, click create campaign, and then we will get this page. This is a sponsored product campaign. So that's the main thing that we'll focus on. There are also sponsored brands, but I haven't dabbled with those very much. So mainly sponsored products. Here is basically where we will enter one single product. So this product that we found here that has sold 33 times, for instance, that's the one that will graduate to the hero campaign. And we will only focus on one product. Now, this is a manual campaign, so a manual targeting campaign. And there are two different types of manual targeting. There's keywords and products. Now, to know which keyword and product to choose, that's when we'll actually go into the third part of the funnel, which is the hot campaign. We'll use the data from that. So once we have a listing that has sold really well, remember this is only like the ads page. So we always need to, like the main metric that we want to look at when we determine if something is going to go into the hero campaign, for instance, is to look at the total amount of orders. So this number right here, because remember, like these are only like the sales from the ad listing, because when you push something with sponsored products, they add a duplicate listing in search, which is referred to as an ad. But people can see that ad and just buy the organic one as well. So it's really important to just look at the total number of sales for a listing to know if it's going to be graduated to the actual next phase of the funnel. So we don't look at this, we only look at this. Or we search up the design with our Pretty Much Pro. You need Pretty Much Pro for this, but you search up the design and just look at the total sales for it. So that's how you do that. Now, the good thing about using this is that in the previous video, you can watch that here, but basically we did an automatic campaign and we sort them by close match, loose match, and substitutes. And with my experience with this, what you can see is that there's always one or two that sells a lot more compared to like one or more ad groups that sells a lot more than the other ones. So for this one, it's the substitutes. So we'll go into this one, we're going to search terms. Now, then we sort this by spend, which is really important. So we can see here that there's like for this listing, so a lot of this will be blurred because these are my actual products. So for obvious reasons, I won't be able to show like every single thing, but hopefully I will be able to get like the point across anyhow. But basically there will be two types of like for this listing. It's selling really well for product, like in product targeting, but also basically for different keywords. So basically what this basically entails here is that when someone goes into Amazon.com and then they go into this thing here, for instance, you see here, discover similar items, something like this. Basically related items that show up on the product page is one part of this that comes up in the search terms here. And you also have keywords. So we will start off by making a keyword campaign. So the first one will be basically keyword t-shirts, because we will only focus on a t-shirt, for instance. If we take this example, this is a long sleeve t-shirt, so we'll use long sleeve t-shirts. And we will only have one product, which is the design that has hit the bracket of 25 sales or more. Manual targeting, and here's the good thing. We will only use relevant like search terms within this. So we won't, for instance, use a hoodie, we won't use a tote, we will only use long sleeved t-shirts, which is really important. Or if it just says t-shirt, we can use that as well. But it's really important to have one product category and mainly just focus on one thing. So with this one, we'll focus on long sleeve t-shirts. What we then do basically with our search terms here that you can see is that we just go through these and see which of these could actually apply to us. Now, I'm sorry, a lot of this will be blurred for obvious reasons, so I want people to show exactly, but for instance, if it says t-shirts, we can add that. If it says long sleeve t-shirts, that's even better, we can use that. If it says shirts, we can use that. But if it says sweatshirt, if it says hoodie, if it says tote, if it says tumbler, we can't use that. So we will leave those out of the actual like keywords. The exact keywords that we will use for this campaign will always be based out of the hot campaign that we made previously, because that's the most reliable data that we have. So those are the keywords that we're going to use here. We're going to use all of these. We're going to use broad match, phrase match, and exact match. And then if something doesn't sell really well, we can just take that off later on. But that's how we'll start. So basically each keyword that we'll add will basically have 3 different versions: a broad match, a phrase match, and an exact match. Now, this one is a dynamic bids down only. We don't mess with this yet because we don't know how to optimize it yet. When we know how this goes, that's when we'll change these settings. How I also like to name this is to always have hero and then hyphen like the design name. And we sort each ad group will be basically called keyword long sleeve t-shirt. And after this, we'll make product targeting long sleeve t-shirts, so to speak. The dial about it is usually $30. We can up this if we sell a lot. But remember, this is just a cap, so usually it doesn't exceed with $30 a day. But that's usually how I do this. And then basically it will look something like this. If you have more product categories, which this design sells really well in, that's when we'll add different categories in. The most important part is that you make a keyword version and then you make a product pages version. So for the other one, you would basically create another ad group within this. So with this example, you will basically have one ad group that's called keyword long sleeve t-shirt. Then you would click create ad group, and then you would say product targeting long sleeve t-shirts. You would add this same exact product that you just added into the other ad group, manual targeting, but this time we will have product targeting. Now, based on the results from the previous one, you would add all the different products that it's selling super well in. As I mentioned, like what product targeting is, if I just look at this thing here, it's this, discover similar items, so related items that pops up on different products when people are viewing a specific item. That's what that is. But you basically you just take the ones here, you add the different products that you have data on, you add those into here. So if it's selling really well on specific products on Amazon, you add just those specific ones. You press search and then you add those here. So when you have this, you would basically then have another ad group, but just for the product categories. Now, an important part about this is the bids. Bids for these are really important because these are the ones, like we have super solid data that these keywords, these products that we're targeting, we have solid data on that, which means that we can have a high bid for this. So the bids that I typically use, both for product categories and for the keywords, is always usually around about 30 cents to about 75 cents, depending on how it is and how it's going. I usually always start with just a raw bid. If I just show you here, I just usually always have 40 cents for each different keyword when we're targeting keywords, but also for product categories. I always start off with 40 cents because we want to add really high fuel to this campaign, since they are the ones that usually carry our whole accounts. So the ad groups for both the keywords and the product targeting is 40 cents. And then you just create this one too, and then you will end up with something kind of like this. Let's see here, something kind of like this. So this is my hero campaign. A lot of this will be blurred just because I don't want to out myself for obvious reasons. And then once you are actually going, you can really optimize stuff. So for instance, if you see that you're overspending, like the ROAS is really low, then it's time to lower the bids. If the ROAS is really high, let's say that my ROAS, for instance, I want to be in a ROAS of about 6 to 7. If you have a super high ROAS, that's how you know that you can actually add some more budget so that you can hit your target ROAS. Because the most important thing about this is to just know that there's like a sweet spot that you always want to hit. You can spend very low on ads and receive small results. You can spend very much and also receive low results. But there's always a middle ground that's like the perfect sweet spot. So what I found is a ROAS between 6 to 7 is usually where I want to go. That's the main sweet spot that I always want to hit with my listings, because I go up for about a $7 royalty, for instance, on a t-shirt. So really high royalties, I'm a big believer in that. I don't believe like charging super low and earning like $2 to $3 on each product sold. That's how I go about it. The important thing to know is that if the ROAS here is too high, that's when it's time to increase the budget and just like, let's say that you start off with 40 cents and then you have a ROAS of like 15. Then it might be good to just try out 60 cents, see how that goes. Because you could probably spend more budget and sell more and basically earn more profit as long as you have a high margin. But if the ROAS is too low, then you know it's time to lower the bid so you can raise the ROAS, because the main thing in the end is still to be profitable with this whole business. This also really applies when it comes to the other ones too. If the ROAS is too high, like generally on the warm-ups campaign, like the hot campaign and the super hot campaign, so the hero campaign here, but also the hot campaign, if the ROAS is too high, or if it's really high, it's really good, but then it could be a great time to experiment and try raising your bids, because you could probably sell even more. But if the ROAS is too low, then it's time to lower the bids so that you can get more back for each money you spend, so that you don't overspend on ads on things that don't have a high return. Alright, so this was the last step of my Amazon ads funnel. If you haven't watched the previous ones, I suggest starting with the overview, which is this one. Anyhow, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.